Howdy ho, Andrew, aka Calfier here. Welcome to the Onion Buns, and welcome to another weekly episode of our Sunday gaming video. So we're going to head back into Exodus this week and bring you up to speed on what's going on. It's been a few weeks since, about a month actually, since I've touched these things. So yeah, but before that, here's a quick message. Hey all, just a quick mention here. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment on the videos you like. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, which helps me. Takes 2 seconds. So thanks in advance. Alrighty. So we are going to start today with the Exodus timeline. We haven't touched on this, so it's a good backdrop on what you'll be entering. So you know what the universe has gone through. So let's get started. Alrighty, we have Exodus timeline. 40,000 years ago, humanity was forced to abandon a dying Earth, taking to the stars in massive arc ships. We found a habitable galaxy in the Centauri. Here we are, the underdogs, struggling for survival in a cold and hostile galaxy, teetering on the edge of extinction. Our only hope for salvation lies with the travelers. Brave heroes exploring descends from early colonists on those first ships that left Earth long ago. So our first timeline is Exodus, 2200 AD. Fleeing a dying Earth, governments and the other powerful organizations begin launching fleets of arc ships out into the galaxy, seeking a new home for humanity. Within 2 centuries, Earth is completely abandoned. All that remains of humanity, our achievements, our culture, and history, is aboard the arc ships, traveling at near light speed through the dark voids of space. Humanity constructed a fleet of arc ships and fled the dying Earth. Traveling near light speed, these ships were capable of crossing vast distances within the span of just a few generations. They sought only one thing: to find a new home among the stars. They found a habitable galaxy in Centauri. 18,000 AD. Several arc fleets reach Centauri cluster, 16,000 light years from Earth. They discover hundreds of densely packed star systems with thousands of potentially habitable planets and send out the green world signal to summon the rest of the arc ships. Knowing it will take millennia for the green world signal to spread across the galaxy, these first arrivals slowly colonize the Centauri cluster, eventually establishing vast interstellar societies and empires. A slow but steady trickle of arc ships from Earth continued to arrive in Centauri, drawn by the green world signal. The new arrivals struggle to find their place in a now unfamiliar galaxy, ultimately adapting and evolving like those before them, or perishing. Remnant Era, 24,000 AD. Centauri's early history is marked by a violent rise and fall of interstellar empires. With the aid of genetic engineering, the citizens of these constantly warring cultures rapidly change and evolve. Over thousands of years, the descendants of the original colonists splinter into dozens of divergent species. Collectively, these transhuman beings call themselves Celestials. As various celestial factions expand and vie for dominance over the Centauri cluster, entire star systems are transformed into factories that generate trillions of weapons and war machines. Violence between rival celestial empires culminates in the Formation Wars, 28,000 AD, obliterating hundreds of habitable worlds across the cluster. Arc ships drawn by the green signal continue to arrive during this era, with the human inhabitants relegated to small backwater worlds by the more technologically advanced celestial factions. Crucible Era, 30,000 AD. In the aftermath of the Formation Wars, a powerful celestial species called the Elohim rise to prominence. The Elohim construct the gates of heaven, an interstellar network linking all the systems of the Centauri, heralding in a new age of exploration and trade. As the unchallenged power in Centauri, the Elohim usher in 5,000 years of peace and prosperity. They establish unbreakable laws, including a ban on the destruction of habitable worlds, the galaxy's most precious resource. The Elohim eventually recede from the galactic stage. New celestial empires rise up to fill in the void, expanding their territories and influence through the diplomacy, trade, and military might. The ultimate fate of the Elohim is unknown, yet the remaining celestial empires continue to obey their laws for fear of potentially catastrophic retribution should they violate them. In addition to building the gates of heaven, the Elohim also use their hyper-advanced technology to move hundreds of habitable planets to completely new systems. Among these, it was Lydon, a moon placed into close proximity orbit around a gas giant in the Malakabel system. Rise of the Aslan Dynasty, 41,500 AD. A long-lost human ark fleet arrives in the Malakabel system and establishes a colony on the moon of Lydon, building atop ruins left behind by the long-extinct celestial civilization called the Detanir. After 2 centuries of struggling to survive, a human traveler named Orion Aslan emerges as Lydon's leader and savior. Born in 2328 LR, Lydon reckoning by the old Earth continuous calendar, Orion Aslan rises from simple mercenary to become a legendary traveler and hero of Lydon, venturing out into space on numerous Exodus missions in search of advanced celestial technology to elevate Lydon's society. Orion establishes the Aslan Dynasty, a powerful network of loyal followers to rule over his homeworld during his long absences among the stars. In 2476 LR, Orion celebrates the birth of his perfect heir, Jun Aslan, genetically created with both celestial and human DNA. Shortly after, Orion embarks on his final exodus, never to return. Gideon Aslan, Jun's half-brother, seizes control of the dynasty and declares himself ruler of Lydon, forcing Jun, still a mere child, to go into hiding. That is the timeline as we know it now, and I believe the game will be set in the final timeline. So we will be moving forward on that, is my understanding. So last video I introduced you to the Marayama. So to end this video this week, we're going to look at just at the edge of hearing. Just at the edge of hearing. Not all arc ships arrived in Centauri at the same time, my child, nor did they all have the same success starting a settlement. Those who arrived first, those who evolved into what we now call celestials, were not always the most gracious of hosts. Sometimes they tolerated the humans who came centuries or millennia later. Often they enslaved or exploited us. Other times they ignored us. On the rare occasion, they even seemed to help us. But though we share a common origin, the Celestials have evolved into something post-human, inhuman. They are not allies. They are not our friends. The best policy is to simply avoid them as much as possible. Settle on worlds the Celestials have abandoned or ignored, planets where fledgling human colonies might be able to thrive and flourish on our own merit. Yet one can't help wonder, on discovering one of these rare unclaimed worlds, why is it still empty? I see what's wrong with it, Oli said. But I don't see what's wrong with it. Stephen gave him an odd look. Say what? I mean, it's something scrambled in the nuclei of some of the cells. I'd say at random, but it's like a pattern. I don't see it. I just see a potato, Stephen said, which means this is a ag sci problem and not gene tech. Well, the potato's genes? You know how easy ag sci have it on this planet? Stephen was getting into his stride. I mean, okay, no oxygen yet, but 5 generations before our little extra mile bugs put out enough for you to plant your potatoes outside, but 8/10 gravity Earth, temperatures like a sunny day in Nebraska, big flat plains, Ollie, big flat plains of dust, so chock full of hydrocarbons. It's positively soil without the gribbles that eats your potatoes. Just enclose a dome and pump some air in. Alien Mother Nature already done the hard work. And you know what? They even break the potatoes. And somehow it's our problem then. Just all broken up inside, Ollie said, wondering, looking at the next microgram of jumbled base pairs. And theoretically, in what mess was the genetic code that would grow you a potato, but nobody was putting that jigsaw together? You hear the news from the G ward. A lot of people have been developing, Thomas. Potatoes, Stephen shouted. I mean, damn me. Those are like quintessential space food, aren't they? Even some clown that got himself marooned can grow potatoes. You saw that old movie, Ollie, where the spacemen grow potatoes? What was it? Space Tato. That's the one. And here we are with the best planetary cards anyone could ever deal us, and our dumbass ag sci boys can't even. Ollie wasn't listening anymore. Each new image seemed to be boring into his mind. There was more than a pattern in the distribution of damaged potato cells. There was a message. He'd heard it before. Just as he fell asleep, the voice at the edge of the hearing, whispering terrible things, incredible things. Stephen, he said, feeling his teeth vibrate. Do you hear that? Stephen was still ranting about inadequacy of potato farmers. Ollie made a sound. It was supposed to be a word, but it came out in a guttural buzzing deep in his chest. Say what? Stephen asked, broken from his triad. Ollie, you just hawked up a... Damn me, man, that looks like half a lung. Ollie turned to him, feeling blood all over his chin and strung between his teeth. He gurgled out, here, and he heard. All he needed to make sure Stephen heard. But that sound wouldn't go in Stephen's ears properly, and so he had to make some other entry for it. To let it into the man's skull, he lunged, feeling his colleague's throat twist under his fingers, jaws gaping so he could worry about Stephen's flesh. The recording was shocking enough to silence the room. A man turning on his neighbor and savaging him, gone completely and cannibalistically insane without warning. Or apparently without warning. The autopsy of both men, because Ollie had torn Stephen's throat out before anyone could intervene, had shown the fingerprints of the true killer. Dalla Vale, chief medic, began sliding her findings into the screens of the assembled ARC and civilian leadership. A catastrophic breakdown of structure spread across the body. She explained, "We've seen similar signs before at earlier stages. Mr. Ollie had several symptoms he wanted checked out, but the damage had avoided his major organs, and so he was too far down the list. We never got to him before it got to his brain." "It what?" demanded someone. "There's nothing alive out there, even at the microscopic level. And we've taken the utmost quarantine precautions of... Anyway, everything's screened, irradiated, scanned, sieved. How can it be an it?" "How do you cure it?" someone else shouted over them. Dr. Vale just stood there, fiddling with her own screen, mouth twitching. "Doctor," the ARC captain prompted her, "if this is biological agent that's somehow interacting with our biology, then what have we missed? How do we screen it out? It isn't a biological agent, Vale said briskly. In fact, we took far too long to work out what it was, because that's what we were looking for, because we were seeing these low-level symptoms killing the crops, making us sick. And now this. It was what Ollie said that finally put me on the right track. You can't just catch it under Stephen's ramblings. Do you hear that? He says. And naturally we looked at his ears and there's no infection. The damage barely touched there. But one of the geophysics teams was complaining about auditory hallucinations, like a buzz all the time, a kind of vibration, tinnitus. We told him it was nothing. He didn't believe us. He repurposed a chunk of earthquake kit. He was right. It wasn't nothing. He's in the ward with acute liver failure right now, but we have his results. It's some silicate, some geological microstructure. Someone interrupted her. Surely there's nothing so small it's getting past our filters. Not that, she said patiently. It's the planet. Not a small thing at all. A very big thing. The planet, the captain echoed scornfully, is making people sick? The planet, she confirmed, is killing us and our crops with its song. That, at least, was enough to shut down the chatter for the first time since after they'd seen Ollie's rampage. Let me ask you something, she said. Have any of you heard a sound right at the very edge of your ear when it's quiet at night, when you're on your own, and you realize it's always there? Just so soft that most of the time it's drowned out. A whistle or a hum or a buzzing. I have. And she saw the faces that flinched and the ones that didn't. And nobody admitted to anything. If you're keeping quiet because you don't want to admit to being sick, then you should know that hearing the sound just means your ears are better for certain frequencies. Everyone's body is being affected by it. Every living thing we grow here. Every human being. Is it an attack? Someone wanted to know. Not even that, she said, because at least an attack would be comprehensible. Something on the human scale. It's the planet, she said helplessly. Deep geological movement of tectonic plates creating a constant harmonic vibration entirely alien to anything we ever encountered on Earth. It shakes apart our cells from the nucleus out. The patterns Ollie observed reflected the waveforms of the sound. It's in us all. We're all sick with it. How do we keep it out? The captain demanded. We can't, she said. It's not a germ or a toxin or even radiation. It's a vibration and it runs through the entire planet. And that means even though so many other constraints are in our favor, we must leave. It's a death world. And if we stay, it's going to sing us all to death. All right. So these planets, they're not nice. You know, like the Celestials didn't advance them or abandon them for a reason. And that's what's left for the human being. So, you know, you run into this over and over and over in this storyline is that a lot of these planets will kill you in one way or another. And there's, as of yet, I haven't read anything to suggest there's a way to find out early before the effects start happening. So it's just another twist in the universe. And personally, I find it fascinating. I really do. It's living planets. So anyway, that's this week's episode of the Sunday Gaming video, talking about Exodus, upcoming game. As I've said before, I'm really pumped on this game. I'm got really high hopes. Between this and The Expanse, I am really excited for the future of RPGs. So anyway, if you like this video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm still trying to grow my channel, and a like, subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate anyone that helps out. always feel free to leave a comment. I would love to get some conversations going on this topic. I really would. So please leave comments. It gets us interacting, and it really does help me with the YouTube algorithm. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.